What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Mike's Tool Reviews. On this episode, this beautiful beige air compressor here is my Ingersol Rand 20-gallon Garage Mate. Its model number is P1.5IU. And I wanted to wait a little bit to do this review because I wanted to get a little better at this sort of thing. And I'm still pretty shitty at it, but I feel like I could do this justice now. So I'm going to tell you everything I like and then a couple minor things that I don't like about it. Let me go through the numbers first. It's a 2-piston air compressor, so those tend to be a little bit quieter than your single piston air compressors, and it's a hell of a lot quieter than an oilless. This is oiled, as you can see. There's the oil gauge right there. It has a 2-horsepower motor, and if you ever see those shop backs that say 6 horsepower peak or 4 peak horsepower, that's bullshit, because 2 horsepower is the most you can get out of your regular receptacle. And that was another thing that I wanted to, that I took into consideration when buying this. I could have spent the same amount of money and got a 60 or even 80 gallon lesser quality air compressor, but I wanted something that was, it's got the wheels down here, and it does have a handle. Here's the handle. So this is somewhat portable, but I will say it weighs about 200 pounds. So keep that in mind. This is a heavy little air compressor. And that's due to every part of it being heavy duty. The compressor housing is all cast iron. That motor alone, I think, weighs like 40 pounds. And I wanted something heavy duty and something that would last a long time. I grew up with a 20-gallon Campbell Hausfeld air compressor. And that's kind of what I've been trying to do with my tool collection, is replicate or have a lot of the same tools that my father had that I grew up using. And this is one of those things. I did compare it to the Campbell Hausfeld 20 gallons, but they didn't make a vertical one, and because the space is kind of limited in the shed, I went with the vertical. So, excuse me. The little laydown style is just as good, but like I said, because of the space, I wanted to have the smallest footprint possible, and it only takes up about 2 foot by 2 foot instead of 2 foot by 4 foot if it was a horizontal model. Let me go through all the numbers first. Like I said, it's 2 horsepower. It does 5.5 CFM at 90 psi, and 90 psi is going to be your max rating for almost any tool that you use. So to achieve 90 psi working pressure, I crank the regulator up to about 115 or 120. So by the time you pull the trigger on something and the air gets moving, your actual working PSI is only about 90, 95. I push it a little bit. Something else that I really liked about this one is the dual piston setup. It enables it to be quieter because you don't have as big of a piston popping every cycle to compress the air. You have 2 smaller ones that are doing the same amount of work as one big one. My dad's, I believe, was a single piston, and it was a good bit louder than this. This is quoted as 75 to 80 psi, or 75 to 80 decibels. So normal speaking volume is about 65 decibels. So when this thing kicks on, you don't really have to stop your conversation. I know you've all been in a shop before, and somebody's got some loud-ass air compressor, especially if it's oilless. As soon as that thing kicks on, conversation pause. You can't. You're screaming if you're trying to continue it. So you wait for the thing to fill up, and then you continue. You pick up right where you left off. Not the case with this one. This one is not really that loud. Here, let me drain it down a little bit, and I'll let you hear it. But I will. Here, let me do this. Sorry about that shitty camera work. Let me. I gotta turn the regulator up. So I'm just talking at normal volume. I am a lot closer to the camera, but it's not really that loud. It's not silent. It's not silent by any means, but like I said, it's quiet enough that you can continue a conversation if this thing comes on. And my shed here is about the size of a tiny garage. If I had a roll-up door on it, I probably could almost pull a car in here. I think the trunk and everything would be hanging out, but in a bigger garage, especially if you put this in its own enclosure, you're not going to hear it at all. It's really quiet. All the features on it, you have your disconnect here. That comes with it. It comes with oil. Here's your regulator gauge, and this is your tank pressure gauge. It comes with 2 air filters. Some of them don't actually come with air filters. Of course, it comes with the shroud. It comes with this handle. It comes with 2 nice, like about 10-inch pneumatic tires, which it needs, being about 200 pounds was the shipping weight of this thing. So it's heavy duty all the way around. The whole compressor housing and compressor setup is all cast iron. Everything on it's really tight and really quality. I've left this thing for 2 or 3 days with pressure in it, which I don't like to do, but it'll hold the pressure right where I left it, as long as nothing's connected. Especially if the hose is disconnected and there's no leaks in the air compressor. If anything leaks, it's going to be your bit at the end of your hose. Like right now, I don't know if you can hear that. This connection leaks a little bit, but pull that off, nothing. So it's a really tight unit. I was really impressed of how well held air in it. It's got all powder coated finish, all copper lines, all heat sinked copper lines, because you do develop heat when you compress air. So it tries to cool that down before it goes into the through the check valve into the tank. The tank is rated at like 160 psi at like 140 degrees, so the tank is way overbuilt for the compressor. It runs 5.5 CFM and 90 psi, which is a little on the low side, but you'll find Husky or Craftsman air compressors that quote like 6 plus CFM at 90 psi, and that's because they run at a higher pressure. They'll run at like 150 psi, and I didn't really care about that because I feel like this air compressor is not working as hard as something that's got to go to 150 psi. You're running higher pressures. Your check valve is this is the check valve right here. The check valve's working harder. Your pistons are working harder. Everything's working harder. So this one is just, I feel like this one just breezes through filling up the tank. It's not working hard at all. It's not putting stress on any of the parts. That's why I hope this one will last as long as my father's, because his Campbell Hausfeld, he hasn't done any fucking maintenance to it at all, and the thing still runs like a champ. I think his right here, the pressure switch, when it drops below pressure, his did wear out after about 10 years, maybe 15 years, and he replaced it with an off-the-shelf pressure switch, and it's still running fine today. That's another thing I like about this. This is all pretty much off-the-shelf parts. There's nothing proprietary about it. There's nothing fancy about it. You need a new 2-piston compressor. That's a standard design. I'm not going to have problems replacing that, especially because it's a well-known brand that is probably still going to make that compressor housing 30 years from now. If not, somebody else does. This motor, it's a standard 1750 RPM compressor motor with the 2 capacitors on top and the overload on the side of it. That's a standard thing. The gauges are all standard. Everything's a standard kind of fitting. So I know, even though Square D actually makes a pressure switch for this, so I don't even have to get that. It's probably nicer than the one that's on there, but I don't even have to get that from Ingersoll. Two things I don't like about it, and they're just like, I don't understand design features. Right down here, I don't know if you can see in there. Let me get rid of it. Come on, where is it? There it is. Right there is the drain plug. I don't know if you can tell, but there's about an inch between this drain plug and the edge of this, which is something, you know, the oil still looks really clean, and I will eventually need to replace it, but when I do, there's really no way to get the oil out of here without getting it all down this thing. My friend has a North Star vertical 2 horsepower twin piston air compressor. It looks identical to this. It looks like like North Star bought one of these and then copied it. It is not a rebranded one as far as I can tell. Everything is on it's a little bit different. It's not just a different colored rebranded Ingersoll, but that one actually has an extension. So instead of the plug being here, it comes out to about here, and then there's a plug. Kind of a annoying design feature on this one, but it's not the end of the world. You can go quite a while without changing the oil in these. Yeah, his is set up a little bit different. The finish on it is a lot different, and it's got like the crinkle hammer tone kind of finish. Looks more durable, but it will attract dust more. So it's like, this is powder coated, so what do you want? You want it to look dusty as shit all the time, or, something easy to wipe off. Also, way down here, that is the drain. I don't know if you can tell, but the bottom of the tank is domed. It's rounded like the top of it. So for me to actually drain all the water out of this, I have to tilt this whole thing at like a 45-degree angle. If I just open that up right now, it'll release all the air. Maybe a little bit of moisture will come out. But for me to actually get the sitting water in the bottom of it, I have to tilt the whole thing about that angle. Kind of stupid, but it's easily accessible, but it doesn't get all the water out. I wish the thing was all the way in the bottom. And I considered trying to add one to the bottom, but it's a pressure vessel, and I just didn't want to. I didn't want to screw with it. I've seen a couple videos of air compressors exploding where their pressure relief valves are malfunctioning or something else malfunctions. Probably multiple malfunctions at one time, and this fucker explodes. That compressor is powerful enough that if it doesn't shut off and it keeps pumping that tank off, and the relief valves don't go, and that thing goes, you're going to the hospital, and you're not going to be right for the rest of your life. You're going to have a gimp leg, or you're going to be missing an arm. It's fucking dangerous. You work with high PSI. The higher the PSI, the higher the danger value. So I wanted something reputable. I wanted something not necessarily made in like a Chinese sweatshop. I don't really know where this is made. I don't think it's the United States. Maybe parts of it are made in the United States, but it's not. It's one thing that it makes me nervous about Harbor Freight air compressors, and I haven't ever heard any horror stories about those, but I've seen the videos of those things going bad, and it's not good. It's really bad. So I'll tell you a little bit more about the North Star, and maybe if I had to do it over again, I would get the North Star. A friend of mine bought it, and I didn't really like it till I saw it in person. I had seen reviews of it, and I had saw it online for sale, and it's cheaper than this one. This one, Ingersol Rand, only comes with a 1-year warranty. I think the tank has like a 5-year warranty, but the whole unit as a whole is only 1 year. The North Star has a 3-year warranty and has a 1-year professional use warranty. So if you bought the North Star and put it in your automotive shop, I don't know how the fuck they would know, but it's a 1-year professional, 3-year homeowner warranty. So that's better. But I feel like this is another sort of thing that if you get a year out of it and you used it quite a bit, it's probably going to last a lot longer than a year. If there's no defects in it and it doesn't shit the bed in a year, you probably got something that's going to last a while. So the North Star has a 3-year warranty. It's cheaper, and I kind of like the finish on the North Star a little bit better. It is a little more durable. This looks like it could scratch easier, but it's an air compressor. I mean, it didn't take any time for me to. There was some warning labels down here. Ripped those all off. Put my own stickers on it. I'll show you some of the stickers. This is a local band, Ballyhoo. They play like a rock reggae. I really like them a lot. They're getting a pretty big following now. This sticker was made by a friend of a friend who's an artist who just makes weird fucking stickers. And if you can't already tell, this is Wu Krang. Krang from the Ninja Turtles in the shape of the Wu-Tang symbol. This is from a brewery by my friend's house in Richmond, Virginia. Up here on the shroud, the fan shroud, we have a Wera sticker. That's RC Cars. That's a brewery. That's a friend's skate company. Go Birds. RC Cars, RC Cars. Got this cool reflective Klein sticker. And then my NRA membership sticker on there. So, all in all, I fucking love this air compressor. It's really good. When I'm even if I'm using like a really inefficient tool like this shitty Kawasaki cutoff wheel, even if it kicks on while I'm still using it, I can continue to use it while it's trying to repressurize. This motor is rated at 100% duty cycle, which means this thing could just be running non-stop, and that motor is not going to have a problem with it. It's built to do that. I believe the North Star is only an 80% or 60% duty cycle, which is average for an air compressor because it's only running on and off. But this one, you don't have to worry about it continuously running. If it's supplying you with enough air for your tool, keep running it. It can handle it. And if it doesn't, then, well, you're fucked. You gotta buy a new motor. But it's rated for 100% duty cycle. So that's it. This thing is awesome. Another thing, it's got these big pneumatic tires on the bottom, which make it really easy to move around. Even if you have to drag it through some grass, those are a little bit bigger than most all vertical air compressor tires. So, and it's kind of funny. I think one of them's flat right now. I think this one actually has like no air in it at all. But easy to move around. Like, it is heavy. You can't be a little bitch, but it's you just grab that handle and pull it behind you, and it pretty much runs over anything you pull it through. So that's it. That's my review. I freaking love it. I expect this to last a good 20 or 30 years. Maybe with some maintenance. Maybe the motor goes up one day, or maybe I need to rebuild the compressor, but it's all off-the-shelf kind of shit, so it's very serviceable, and I don't think I'm going to have any problems with it. So I'm going to wrap this up, and that's my review of my Ingersoll Rand Garage Mate 20 gallon. Thanks for watching.